Pain is a thief. It steals your mornings, it interrupts your sleep, and it makes even the smallest joys, like opening a jar, walking in the park, or holding your grandchild, feel heavier than they should. If you've been living with arthritis, you know this truth better than anyone. The pills might help for a while, but they come with their own set of shadows, side effects, worries about long-term use, and the nagging thought that maybe there has to be a gentler way. Here's the surprising part. Nature has already placed powerful tools right in your kitchen drawer. Not exotic powders or pricey supplements, but humble vegetables you've likely passed by 1,000 times. Today, I want to share a secret with you. 3 vegetables that work so much like ibuprofen inside your body, you might just feel as if your joints got a second chance. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. When I think about broccoli, I don't just see a green vegetable sitting in the produce aisle. I see one of nature's quiet warriors. So many of my patients over the years have wrinkled their noses at it, remembering the mushy, overcooked version served in school cafeterias. But let me tell you, when you see what broccoli does inside your body, it suddenly looks a lot less boring and a lot more like medicine in disguise. Here's why. Inside every bite of broccoli is a compound called sulforaphane. Now that might sound like something out of a chemistry textbook, but it's simply a natural chemical that turns broccoli into a tiny anti-inflammatory powerhouse. Imagine inflammation as a raging fire inside your joints, the very thing behind stiffness, swelling, and arthritis pain. Sulforaphane acts like a firefighter, dampening the flames by blocking an enzyme called COX-2. That's the very same enzyme ibuprofen targets. The difference is, instead of swallowing a pill that can irritate your stomach or raise your blood pressure, you're feeding your body a vegetable that heals without harm. I once had a patient named Margaret, a 67-year-old retired teacher. She loved gardening, but arthritis had forced her to cut back on the very activity that brought her peace. I suggested she try adding broccoli into her meals 3 or 4 times a week, not as punishment, but as a new ingredient in recipes she already enjoyed. She began roasting it with garlic and turmeric, letting the edges crisp in the oven, or tossing it into a hearty vegetable soup. Within a month, she noticed something remarkable. Her morning stiffness was gentler, her fingers a little more forgiving, and she could spend longer tending her roses without paying the price the next day. Her story isn't magic, it's biology. Broccoli doesn't just quiet pain, it protects the very fabric of your joints. The smooth cartilage between your bones is like the cushion in your favorite chair. Over time, arthritis slowly thins that cushion, leaving bones scraping against bone. Research from the University of East Anglia showed that sulforaphane can actually slow this breakdown. In other words, broccoli isn't only easing discomfort, it's guarding your joints from worsening damage. That's a remarkable gift, especially for those of us over 50 who want to preserve independence and movement for decades to come. And then there are the vitamins. Broccoli is a treasure chest of them. Vitamin C fuels the production of collagen, the glue that holds your cartilage together. Vitamin K strengthens bones, ensuring they stay resilient against fractures. Add in folate, fiber, and antioxidants, and suddenly you have a vegetable that doesn't just fight arthritis, but supports your immune system, your digestion, even your energy. Now I know the big question: how do you make broccoli something you actually look forward to eating? The secret is not to boil it into mush, because that drains both flavor and nutrients. Light steaming keeps its crunch and its healing power intact. A drizzle of olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, and a sprinkle of sea salt turn it into something fresh and lively. Roasting brings out its nutty side, and blending it into a smoothie with pineapple and banana might sound strange until you try it. It's surprisingly refreshing. The beauty is, whether you use fresh or frozen, you're still getting the same healing compounds. Consistency is what matters most. You don't need to eat a mountain of broccoli every day. Start with a handful here and there, mix it into dishes you already enjoy, and let the effects accumulate. Over weeks and months, sulforaphane builds up in your system, gently tuning down inflammation. And as that happens, something beautiful begins to return. Ease of movement, the ability to climb stairs without wincing, to kneel in the garden, to play on the floor with your grandchildren. Margaret told me that one morning, after weeks of adding broccoli into her meals, she woke up, swung her legs out of bed, and realized she wasn't bracing herself for the usual ache. She sat there for a moment, smiling, because she felt something she hadn't in years: relief, freedom, and the possibility of doing more with her day. That's the quiet revolution a vegetable can bring. Broccoli is not flashy, but it's fierce. It doesn't demand much, just space on your plate and patience in your routine. In return, it offers less pain, stronger joints, and the steady hand of nature helping you reclaim joy in movement. When I see a patient rediscover the ability to move without fear, to laugh without the shadow of pain, I'm reminded why I call broccoli one of the most underrated heroes in the fight against arthritis. Spinach has always carried a quiet reputation. Some people picture Popeye popping open a can, others think of a soggy pile on the side of a plate. But when you look closely at what this leafy green does inside the body, especially for those living with arthritis, it becomes clear. It's not just food, it's medicine wearing a humble disguise. One of the most powerful compounds inside spinach is something called camphorol. The name might sound technical, but picture it this way. Your joints are like a well-oiled hinge, and over time, free radicals, tiny unstable molecules, start to rust that hinge. That rust shows up in the form of swelling, pain, and stiffness. Camphorol steps in like a skilled handyman, slowing down that rusting process, neutralizing the free radicals, and calming the storm of inflammation. There's a patient of mine named Harold, 72 years old, who used to love wood carving. His hands, once nimble and steady, had grown swollen and stiff from arthritis. Carving became painful, and he thought he might have to set aside the craft he'd enjoyed for decades. Together, we worked on small, consistent dietary shifts. One of them was spinach. He started tossing fresh leaves into omelets in the morning, blending a handful into a smoothie with mango and banana in the afternoon, and sautéing it lightly with garlic and olive oil for dinner. Slowly, his grip returned. The ache didn't vanish overnight, but it softened, and Harold told me he could once again hold his carving knife with confidence. For him, that wasn't just a dietary change. It was the return of a piece of his identity. Spinach also brings something many people overlook: magnesium. Think of magnesium as nature's muscle relaxant. When levels are low, muscles around inflamed joints feel tighter, almost like a clenched fist that won't release. With enough magnesium, that tension eases, reducing the strain on sore joints. For older adults, this can mean less cramping at night, less stiffness in the morning, and a greater sense of fluidity throughout the day. Vitamin E is another quiet gift spinach offers. If your joints are like door hinges, vitamin E is the oil that keeps them gliding smoothly, protecting the delicate membranes around them from wear and tear. Then there's vitamin C, fueling collagen production, strengthening the scaffolding that supports your joints. Add iron and folate, which boost healing and circulation, and you have a leafy green that acts like a full joint support supplement, but in its pure, natural form. Science backs this up too. A study published in Food and Function in 2017 highlighted the anti-inflammatory effects of camphorol-rich foods like spinach, showing how they can slow the progression of arthritis. This isn't folklore, it's research confirming what many patients feel firsthand when they consistently include spinach in their meals. Of course, the key is preparation. Spinach doesn't need to be boring. Raw leaves tossed with avocado, olive oil, and lemon juice create a refreshing, anti-inflammatory salad. A quick sauté with turmeric and a sprinkle of black pepper turns it into a side dish bursting with healing compounds. Blending it into smoothies is another easy way. Most of the time you won't even taste it, especially when paired with sweet fruits. The important thing is not to overcook it. Spinach wilts fast, and a gentle touch keeps the nutrients intact. And let me say this: frozen spinach is not second class. If fresh isn't available or affordable, frozen still delivers the magnesium, camphorol, and vitamin E your body craves. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. A handful here, a serving there, building into a rhythm that your body begins to recognize as healing fuel. For Harold and many others like him, spinach didn't erase arthritis, but it softened its grip. It gave him back dexterity, confidence, and the chance to return to what he loved. That's the deeper truth about food. It's not just about nutrients, it's about reclaiming moments, hobbies, and freedoms that pain has tried to steal. Spinach, in its quiet, unassuming way, becomes a companion on that journey. Not flashy, not loud, but dependable. A gentle healer you can lean on, day after day, meal after meal, as you take back control of your health, your independence, and the simple joy of moving without fear. There's something almost cheerful about a red bell pepper. Bright, vibrant, and crisp. It looks like it was designed to bring joy just by sitting in your kitchen. But beneath that sweetness lies a serious power, one that rivals some of the strongest anti-inflammatory medicines we know. For people living with arthritis, this colorful vegetable isn't just decoration for a salad, it's a tool for reclaiming comfort, movement, and freedom. One of the biggest gifts red bell peppers carry is vitamin C. We often think of oranges when it comes to vitamin C, but here's a surprising truth. One red pepper has more vitamin C than an entire orange. Why does that matter for arthritis? Vitamin C fuels collagen, the cushion and padding in your joints that keeps bones from grinding painfully together. When you give your body this building block, you're not only easing pain, you're helping to rebuild the very foundation of healthy joints. But there's more. Red bell peppers are rich in quercetin, a natural compound that acts almost exactly like ibuprofen. Imagine pain as a switch flipped on by inflammation. Quercetin works by gently turning that switch off, calming the chemical signals that scream through your joints and create swelling. Unlike synthetic pills, quercetin doesn't carry the same risks of stomach irritation or kidney strain. It's like choosing a soft rain to put out a fire instead of a harsh chemical extinguisher. I remember working with a patient named Lorraine, age 64. She had always been the one in her family to host Sunday dinners, but arthritis in her hands made chopping vegetables and stirring pots almost unbearable. We talked about adding anti-inflammatory foods to her meals, and she began slicing raw red peppers as part of her afternoon snack, dipping them in hummus instead of reaching for crackers. She also started roasting them in the oven, letting that natural sweetness bloom and using them in soups and sauces. A few weeks later, she told me something that made us both smile. She had chopped onions and peppers for her stew without needing to stop halfway to massage her hands. For her, that was victory. Red peppers also hold beta-carotene, the antioxidant that gives them their rich crimson glow. Your body turns beta-carotene into vitamin A, which strengthens the immune system. This is crucial because arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis, isn't just about joints. It's about the immune system mistakenly attacking the body. By supporting immunity, red peppers help quiet the misfiring that adds fuel to inflammation. Another layer of healing comes from fiber. We don't often connect gut health to joint health, but science is uncovering a powerful link. A healthy gut lowers overall inflammation throughout the body, and red peppers, with their natural fiber, support that balance. It's like tending to the soil so the whole garden can thrive. Your gut is that soil, and your joints reap the rewards. What's beautiful about red peppers is how effortless they are to enjoy. Raw slices are crisp and sweet, perfect for dipping or tossing into a salad. Roasting them concentrates the flavor, making them silky and rich enough to blend into sauces or layer on sandwiches. Stuffed peppers, filled with brown rice, lentils, or herbs, turn into a hearty healing meal. And here's a little tip. Choose red over green. Green peppers are simply peppers picked before ripening, but when they mature into red, they carry far more nutrients and antioxidants in a sweeter, gentler taste. Science adds weight to what we see in practice. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has highlighted the strong relationship between vitamin C intake and reduced progression of inflammatory arthritis. What we've known in medicine is now being validated by studies. These colorful foods really do act as natural allies in the fight against joint pain. Lorraine's story, like many others, is a reminder that relief doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes it comes in the form of small, joyful changes on your plate. A pepper sliced here, a roasted dish there, slowly adding up to hands that feel less swollen, knees that bend more easily, and days that aren't ruled by pain. The red bell pepper might look simple, but its impact is profound. It's nature's way of saying that healing can be delicious, vibrant, and within reach every single day. And for those who are willing to welcome it onto their plate, it often brings back something far greater than flavor. It brings back freedom. So here's what we've uncovered together. Pain doesn't have to be your constant companion, and arthritis doesn't get the final say in how you move through your days. Nature has placed powerful healing allies right on your plate. Three vegetables that act like natural ibuprofen, working quietly and gently to ease inflammation, rebuild strength, and restore freedom. Broccoli with its sulforaphane protecting your cartilage, spinach with its camphorol, and magnesium relaxing your muscles and calming oxidative stress, and red bell peppers with their quercetin and vitamin C fueling your joints like a fresh coat of oil on a rusty hinge. Remember, it isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Each meal is a chance to feed healing instead of pain. And as you lean into these choices, you'll find that change really is possible at any age. I'm Dr. Brian, and I invite you to like, subscribe, and share this message of hope.